How's everyone doing? It's Mask here. Now, if you haven't guessed already, yes, today I'm here to talk to you about BlueStacks. Now, I know you've probably heard me say at least something about BlueStacks at the end of just about every video I've made lately. Now, BlueStacks finally reached out to me and were like, hey, you know what? Let's actually get a proper video about BlueStacks made. It's like, that sounds like a great idea. Something I can refer to from the ends of my videos. Maybe have to spend a little less time talking about it then. Now, if at any time during the video I have convinced you to come join me in playing on BlueStacks, and you don't feel like you need to watch the tutorial or watch me sort of show you how it works or how to install it, please take a quick look in the description down below and grab that link from the top of the description to download BlueStacks in order to install it. That helps me out, and I'd really appreciate it. Well, if you guys don't know anything about it, BlueStacks is a fantastic way, personally the best way to play any mobile game on your PC. You can take advantage of your computer's processing power, which is probably by far faster than your cell phone that you have right now. And of course, your computer has a dedicated graphics card, which means you should get better graphics on the games playing on your computer. And of course, take advantage of using a keyboard and mouse. Your keyboard, you can use key bindings to bind any key on your keyboard to any spot on the screen with BlueStacks. So any space you would need to click on in-game, you can now do with your keyboard. And of course, your thumbs are not going to be in the way of seeing everything on the screen. There are so many beautiful games to play on the phone, but when you're playing them, especially when you have giant thumbs like I do, your thumb is literally covering half the screens most of the time, so you really can't tell what's going on. You have the accuracy of using a mouse, the key bindings of a keyboard to click anywhere you want precisely, very fast. And honestly, it's going to give you an advantage in just about any game you're playing. Now, one of my favorite advantages to playing games on BlueStacks on your computer is going to be saving your cell phone battery. Now, especially with games like Chronicle, which encourage you to often play 24/7, even overnight. For example, right now, the Ruin Dungeon's half off in Chronicle. So it's definitely to your advantage. If you have any spare crystals, you should be buying stamina pots and AFKing that Ruin Dungeon overnight. That is what I did last night, but I didn't remember the Ruin Dungeon was half off till I was lying in bed. I'm sitting there like, oh, I gotta do it. I'm gonna regret it if I don't. Loaded it up on my phone, threw it on my nightstand, and it sat there overnight, running through the Ruin Dungeon. But when I woke up, the first thing I thought was, man, like, this is great, but I totally probably cut an entire month off the life of the cell phone battery. Games like that are extremely hard on your cell phone battery, so do yourself a favor, stop killing it, and when you're at home, take advantage of your computer. Use that better processing power. Play with those better graphics, keyboard and mouse. You're gonna love it. Now, my goal with this video, I'm gonna walk you guys through downloading and installing BlueStacks and getting Chronicle up and running, as well as talk about things like optimizing the settings in BlueStacks to make it run very well on your computer. Talk about virtualization and why you need to enable it to get everything running smoothly. And of course, just really taking advantage of your large computer screens, better resolution, better graphics. It's just going to be a better gaming experience all around for you. Now, before I go on, let me show you this cool promotional video BlueStacks gave me. Now let's get down to business. To start things off, you guys can go to any one of my Chronicle YouTube videos, and this one, especially this one. Look at the description below the video. The first line down there, it'll say, play Chronicle on your PC, save your phone battery, install it with this link. And a quick side note, yes, this is the dark theme of YouTube, and I just figured this out yesterday. Now, for anyone who doesn't know how to get to this dark theme, you click on your icon on the top right, dark theme on. This was the best thing that happened to me all week. I love it. But we're gonna go ahead and click on this link down here, right below the video. It's gonna bring us to this screen right here, saying download Knights Chronicle on your PC. Go ahead, click on download Knights Chronicle on your PC. I get a pop-up because I already have BlueStacks installed. Didn't think of uninstalling it before doing this video. And we're gonna go ahead and click download, the green download button. It's going to download BlueStacks. Now, 415 megabyte file. Might take you a second or two. I got fairly quick internet. But once it's downloaded, obviously we're going to click it, open it up. But I'll skip ahead a couple seconds for you guys for that. Okay, now it's finished downloading. Obviously, you're going to go ahead and open that up. Computer's most likely going to prompt you for permission to open the file. That's why everything kind of blinked there. That was that permission screen coming up. I hit yes. Now we're going to install now on BlueStacks. This part might take a moment depending on your computer. And once that finishes installing, go ahead and click complete. BlueStacks should open up. Now the first time it boots up is a little bit longer than normal, just finalizing the install and whatnot. Now, while we're waiting for BlueStacks to finish installing, I will show you guys one thing that's really important to make any emulator run seamlessly on your computer. Now, to make any emulator run very well, you're going to need to make sure virtualization is enabled in your BIOS. Now, this is going to be a very different process. Depending on your computer, every BIOS is a little different, but essentially, there's just simply going to be an option in your BIOS that is basically, sometimes it says Intel virtualization technology, VT technology, and you're going to have to switch it from off to on. Just make sure it is already on. Now, BlueStacks has a great guide on how to do that. You can also Google enable virtualization, your computer make, model, motherboard, BIOS, like any one of these things should pop up some sort of guide on how to do it, but you're going to need to make sure you have virtualization enabled for BlueStacks to run properly. You could have a fantastic computer, but any emulator, not just BlueStacks, is going to run sluggishly and slow if you don't have this option enabled in your BIOS. Now, I will leave a link to this page right here in the description down below so you guys can take a look at it, and if you can't find what you need on this page, just do a quick Google on how to enable virtualization on your specific computer. Now, this is the first thing that pops up right after BlueStacks is finished installing. Location accuracy, I always just agree to these. So a lot of apps require it in order for them to work perfectly. And it's going to prompt you to log into a Google account the second you've finished logging in. Obviously, I'm going to do that, but be right back so you guys don't see mine. And now that we're successfully logged in, you're going to have to agree to the terms and services like most apps or software you install or log into these days. And then the second you've clicked agree, immediately Knights Chronicle is going to pop up on the screen, sit nicely in front of you, waiting for you to install it. This is just a quicker way to get things done as well, as long as you use the link in the description down below of any of my YouTube videos like we started with. It's going to pop Knights Chronicle up right away for you, saving you any time having to look for it. And a quick click of the install button is going to have it installing on BlueStacks for you right away. Everything seems to have installed or downloaded and installed properly. You can just open up Knights Chronicle from, well, this is from the installation menu. Now you can see it running as you're used to, but we're going to go ahead and close it for now. That was probably a little loud. Now, here's your main BlueStacks screen. You have My Apps, the App Center, the Help Center, and of course, Pika World. Pika World's sort of this cool side thing that while you're just playing your regular mobile games in BlueStacks, you're earning yourself cards and currency that you can participate in some of their giveaways and events with. But this is a screen that you'll be more used to seeing. You're going to have any of your games. This is Knights Chronicle that we've now installed. Pops up. This is kind of like your cell phone's home screen. and we could simply open it up and play Knights Chronicle from right here. Now that we've actually got the game installed, let's take a look at BlueStacks settings. Now this is where we're going to, for this now, we can pop this into full screen. Let's look at the BlueStacks settings. This is how we're going to make sure everything is running nice and smooth, exactly how we want it. Now, display, you can leave it as system default, and this is just going to match the display you're currently using on your computer. This is definitely my suggested setting, and then to be honest, most of these are going to be left at default unless it's not running smoothly. If everything's running nice, crisp, and smooth, I would leave it exactly how it's set on the display screen. You come into Engine, now you have the choice between DirectX or OpenGL. Now this is an option you actually will change more often when a game doesn't seem to be running quite right. Some games prefer DirectX, some games prefer OpenGL. OpenGL should work with pretty much everything. It's also going to be it's the less intense graphics mode to be running on, so it runs on slower computers better as well. Now CPU cores, you simply should know how many CPU cores your computer has and set that number here. Don't set, chances are you're not going to be setting 8 like I would. My computer just so happens to have 8 cores. Most common numbers being 4 cores and 2 cores. However many your computer has, chances are that when you're running BlueStacks, it's probably going to be one of the only things running on your computer. So just list all your cores here. That's perfectly fine. And we're going to look at your memory. How much RAM do you have installed on your computer? Put that number here. BlueStacks supports up to 5 gigs of RAM per instance that they run. So if you have at least 5 gigs, there's no reason not to crank this all the way over to the right. It's just going to make BlueStacks run smoother, and you're going to have a better experience with it. So in your engine settings, I would put it on OpenGL to have the most compatible things running the smoothest and the fastest for you. If you have a really nice computer, switch it over to DirectX. Things should be a little crisper and look a little nicer. Max out your computer cores, max out your RAM. Come back to your display settings. If you apply all these upgrades in the engine settings section, restart BlueStacks, it's going to reload in, and if stuff's still running a little slow, it's not quite as good as you'd want it to be. Number one, make sure virtualization is enabled. That's an absolute reason. Everything will automatically be sluggish if you do not have virtualization enabled. But you can come back to display. One thing I highly suggest doing to cut down on the resources needed to run this is knock it down to 1280 by 720, or even actually no, that shouldn't help you. Sorry. Is knock things down to 1280 by 720. This is just going to take it from 1080p to 720p and require that much less resources to run, and it's probably the last step you'll need. Also, going from 240 DPI to 160. These two settings here, I would use as a last resort. It is going to make things slightly less visually appealing, a lower DPI and a smaller aspect ratio, so you're not in full HD with your game, but it will definitely make it that much easier for your game to run both BlueStacks, your computer to run BlueStacks, and the game you're trying to get to work. There's not a whole lot else here that you need to fool around with. Notifications, this is whether or not you want things popping up on your computer. I typically disable all these just so there's nothing popping up in the corner while I'm playing a game. Preferences, not important. Backup and restore. Now this is really neat if you ever need to back your computer up, reformat your computer, uninstall BlueStacks. I, for one, actually forgot to do this when I uninstalled BlueStacks for this video, but I could have created a backup, taken the file, saved it on my computer, and restored everything from that backup once I'd reinstalled BlueStacks. So it's a great way to make sure you're never losing progress. There are a lot of cool games that don't have save files, and it actually is near impossible. I think one that comes to my mind, it was called The Trail. It was a game I really enjoyed playing on my phone a handful of months ago when it came out. The game doesn't have any kind of cloud-based Google backup or any sort of saving on it, so it was your physical file on your phone was the only way to play that game. Well, I lost my phone broke, so I had to get it replaced. There was no way to get The Trail off my broken phone onto the new one, so I had to stop playing the game because I had no backup of it. If I was playing that game on BlueStacks, I could have created the backup, reinstalled BlueStacks, restored it, and I would have been great, even if my computer had broke and I had lost everything that way. Update, of course, is where you check if there's any BlueStacks updates. nothing else you need to know about that menu. So if you go through all those settings, make sure they're optimized to your computer. You have virtualization enabled. BlueStacks is going to run like a charm. Nothing I've used runs smoother than this. I was a big fan of I've tried out just about every emulator you could think of. Back when I used to play Duel Links, or sorry, back when I played Duel Links a lot, I should say. I still do play. But I would use, I always had to use emulators in order to stream Duel Links on the computer. Like most mobile games, in order to stream them on a computer, you load them up on a nice emulator. But ever since BlueStacks 3, this has been my go-to. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Learned something today. I definitely hope you all join me on BlueStacks playing games like Knights Chronicle on your computer. Doesn't have to be Knights Chronicle. I mean, for just about any mobile game you want to play, you can get on BlueStacks and play it on your computer. It's simply going to be a better experience for you, and you're going to save that cell phone battery. I mean, phones are great. Play things while you're out and about. You're not home, but when you're home, and I mean we are home the large majority of the time, you might as well take advantage of something like BlueStacks, save your cell phone battery, have better processing power, better graphics. You're going to have a better time. Once again, guys, make sure you grab the link in the description down below the video or any one of my Knights Chronicle YouTube videos. Use that to start this process, get BlueStacks installed, and join in on the fun. But thanks for checking this video, guys. I hope I helped out at least some of you, and I now have a great reference point to refer back to when people ask me any questions about BlueStacks. Why isn't it working? What settings should I use? How do you install it? Here we go. But before I finish, I got one more promotional video to show you guys. We'll run it at the end. But for now, I'll just leave you with a friendly reminder. Smash that subscribe button and stay classy.